Yo, what up, everybody? Um, Here's a video about this video is about OTE, which is my entry model that I like to use. So, first of all, let's talk about what it is. OTE is the optimal trade entry, and it's like Fibonacci and like the Fibonacci secrets where it's like the circle and circle, and like it's like a confirmed point where a price retraces to before it reverses. So OTE, what it is, how I use it. Obviously, it's an entry point. I'll go over how I anchor it and how I use it to enter my trades and how I get my targets. So first of all, let's talk about what I need in order to use it, right? So let's say we're just trending here, right? We have these highs up here, right? We break, we sweep these highs, and then we get a big move lower, right? So last video we talked about our OTE, right? So we could mark our OTE right here, or our standard deviation right here, and then we have our deviations, our projections from that, right? Now, how we could get an entry from it is our OTE. That way we can use our standard deviations as targets, right? And instead of reversal points. Now you could also just absolutely double up and cook up some masterclass chef exquisite meals and just take shorts to the end to the zones and then take longs from the zones and just absolutely be a demon on the charts. But I mean, the whole point of trading is to not have to work all day. So I don't know why you would do that to yourself. All right. So, all right, we get our sweep up and then we get this leg down, right? This leg down is the one that confirms that this is a good manipulation leg, right? So we mark out the we mark out the swing high of the leg down, the broke structure, right? This is key, breaking structure. It needs to have broken structure, all right? So we mark it from the swing high to the swing low, right? Right here. And then we have these levels. Let's talk about what these levels mean. All right. So we have our golden zone, right? And that would be in between 0.618, 0.786, right? So this would be the zone that we want, that we would be looking for entries for, right? Now, me personally, I like to see my entries at set like my limit orders, everything at 0.618, just because I've proven to myself over back testing, forward testing, real time data, like all that. That's the best entry point because you always get in the trade, right? So like let's say if you only wanted to enter off 0.705, right? There would be times where it just hits 0.618 and then goes to your targets without ever tapping 0.75. But it always taps 0.618. So that's a that's why I always enter up to 0.618. And then I'll have my stop loss. It depends on what we're entering off of, but I like to have it around in the middle of 0.786 or 0.705. Now, depending on like what I said, what your confluence with the entry is, right? So confluence or entry, I would want like a fair value gap to align. Let's say there's a fair value gap right here and it aligns with the 0.618, then that's absolutely perfect. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for a fair value gap, rejection block, order block, all the above, right? To align with this level, 0.618, right? So if there's not something in that level, I'm not taking it. As simple as that. I like to keep my win rate high. I do that by only entering on trades that are A plus and I see everything I need to see, right? So if I'm only seeing half my trade, I'm not taking it because that's only going to have half the results, right? We're all about statistics here, and skewing statistics is only skewing profits. So, right, if there's no confluence, like if it's just there's no fair value gap, there's no rejection block, it's just straight candles, and you don't see any reason why there should be a reversal here other than the fact that it is a OTE level, I'm not taking it, right? I'm just not taking that. But if we do have our fair value gap, rejection block, order block, all the above, in confluence, then that's perfect, right? If we have all this stuff together, we have the sweep, the break, right? We have our standard deviations marked out. We have our OTE level marked out. It aligns with a confluence, right? And then obviously clear targets, right? So we could have targets at -2. It all depends on what it aligns with, right? So let's say there's a high time frame fair value gap at -4. We could target the -4. Let's say there's a high time frame PD rate of anything or lows or highs, just any type of liquidity that you would target, right? At any of these zones, you could target it through there. If the only target's like at -1, then only target -1, right? Wherever the target is, it's just these zones help, like they're in confluence with your targets, right? So if there's a target at -4, then put it at -4. That's enhancing the probabilities that -4 gets hit, right? So then that's how that works, right? And it's the same exact thing for bullish examples, right? So you have, right, you have your sweep here, and then you have your move up, the break structure, right? So you're sweeping liquidity here, then you're breaking structure here, right? So this would be the leg that we're marking our OTE on, right? So we would take it from the swing low to the swing high, and then that would give us our zones, right? We could also put our SDDV, standard deviations, right here. Mark out the manipulation leg before our OTE leg, right? And that would give us these targets here. And then let's say there's an order block aligned right here, right? Perfect. It's right in our 0.618. Perfect. Limit order here. All right, this is a perfect example. I didn't even mean to draw this, but I did, right? This 0.705, that that level is right at the end of the order block. Now, obviously, order blocks don't get invalidated if a wick goes past it, right? They get invalidated if a candle closes past it, right? So you could, if you trust that the order block is going to reject, right? If you think that that order block is super strong, there's no reason a candle should wick past outside the order block, then you can put your stop loss right at the edge of the order block. Obviously, give it a little room for spread or to breathe or anything, right? But I would just keep it right in between there. All right. At the end of the day, the one RR that it takes off is not going to be the end of the world, right? You could target right here for it's going to be if you target the zero in the OTE, the zero level, which is going to be the high of this leg because obviously the leg is going to start reversing here. It's going to tap into your OTE and then go up, right? So you could target the top of the leg, right? And most of the times that'll hit. I mean, it if the trade's playing out, it's going to get hit. Or you could once again target your standard deviation levels if they line up with, um, if they're good high time frame targets, right? You could target all the way up to the -4 again for max expansion. So that's literally all OTE is. And that's why I like it so much because it pairs so well with standard deviation. And they're both extremely powerful tools, right? So you see how they pair so well. You have your standard deviation, you have your accumulation manipulation. All right, there's your standard deviation. The distribution, right? You're already looking for distribution in order to have your standard deviation confirmed, right? So why not just look for entry and target the points of reversal, right? Like it's so powerful. And as long as you wait, like as long as you wait to enter off of an OTE that has this confluence here in the 0.618 zone, whether it's a rejection block, order block, any type of PD array, right? Then you're way more like it is super likely that the trade plays out, especially if you have like you have your liquidity sweep, you have your breaker structure. So the trend is already switched. The trend is already like the trend's in your favor already because you have the liquidity sweep breaker structure, right? Like TJR, he literally all he trades is liquidity sweep breaker structure retest, right? First of all, another thing that makes these levels good is you're retesting into first You have this whole order block, right? You have the liquidity sweep and breaker structure. We have this whole order block here, right? You have equilibrium, 0 point -5. So if you're testing into this, you're also going into this previous or this big order block, right? You're inside equilibrium. And then on top of that, if you can have some sort of PD rate aligned with 0.618, then you're you got your whole winning trade. Like that's the entire, those are all my rules I want to see. Liquidity sweep, manipulation followed by breaker structure and the distribution, OTE out, right? And I want to confluence with my 0.618, and then I target my zones or like draws on liquidity. It's that easy. That's all it is. So with that being said, if you have any questions, like I feel like I covered everything. Like it's super simple. If you have any more questions though, leave it in the comments or join the Discord. We're more than happy to have you there and just ask. So with that said, I'll see y'all later. Adios.